Welcome to Grr It Happens. He is a CEO, an entrepreneur, outlier, overcomer, storyteller, visionary, victor, mentor, father, brother, underdog, and his favorite term now, doctor. I'm talking about my husband, Glenn Stearns, and this is Grr It Happens.
That's right.
We're here. We
Hello,
got a really
everybody.
exciting kind of a power couple episode today.
Before we get started on that, I hope your wife
I was just going to say...
introduces you the way Mike introduced you.
Come up with an intro
For a minute, I thought it was for me.
Every day.
Who is this doctor? I'm like,
the words out of my mouth.
You've got to train them, Manny.
You didn't tell me I need to prepare an intro for Manny, too.
Man.
You know what? He asks me to say this every morning as he walks into
As
the
I walk
living
into the
room. I'm like,
bathroom.
ladies, now, please, everyone,
Yes.
kids. He's a father. He's, just
Applause
reminding
in the
them.
background.
Yes.
you did amazing.
We have our own soundtrack at home. It's like the audience.
All right, so let's introduce our guest.
Yes. You want to start or you want me to start? Okay.
Why don't you start?
You know what? These are, okay. Talk about a power couple. This couple is someone you may have seen online everywhere. They have a big influence online on Instagram and many of the social media outlets, but they have an incredible story starting with immigration, different countries, hardship, overcoming, and finding a happy ending, a happy fairy tale ending.
I love happy endings. Oh, by the way, just
We'll
saying.
talk about everything. Entrepreneurs and power couple, Manny and Leyla-Khoshbin. Leyla Milani-Khoshbin. Yes.
Hey.
So I just want to welcome you guys to Grr It Happens studio today.
So good
Thanks
to
for
be
coming
here.
in. We're also like friends and neighbors, and we socialize and do all sorts of fun stuff together. And
We have many similarities, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah,
That's right.
I mean, we do. When you look at people that you are attracted to or you attract, you find similar, characteristics and things. And you guys have a great story. Did you want to start on?
Well, no, what I'd like to say, because Manny, you've listened to all the podcasts, but he came in saying, I haven't heard one yet.
I did my homework.
Yes,
See,
thank
look
you.
it. All right.
No, but all kidding aside, we get it, busy people. But my point is, it's about, this is called Grr It Happens because, getting some level of success doesn't happen without busting your butt, right? And it's just the grit and what it takes. And so this all kind of started, I did that television show a while back, and that was kind of about grit and growing and learning.
It's basically
and,
starting from nothing, which we all kind of
and
did.
so it's perfect for the both of you as well, because you have that similar story. So this is kind of, we want to introduce that story to a lot of people that listen, because you guys, very successful. I get all the calls. Oh, you think you can introduce me to Manny? Like all the time.
All my friends,
You've
oh
been
my
very
God, where did
gracious.
Leyla get that? Oh my God.
Yeah.
What is your secret? Tell me. Find out.
Yeah, it's great. And I've always said this about, if you read a good book, you want your friends, hey, read this book. You want people to celebrate. And so when we first met, there was a lot of similarities and a lot of background that came with getting to a level where you can
Well, share
be in
your
the rare
success,
air.
really, and mentor. You're big into mentoring, and I want to go back. I really want to
let's
start
do
kind of at
that.
the beginning because, a lot of people say, oh, they just got lucky. They just got lucky, but you never talk about that. You talk about never, ever giving up.
Yep.
But talk about how you got here with your family, your 4 siblings from Iran, born in Iran. That's such a good part of it, though.
Version.
You can condense it, but really kind of that trajectory is very interesting to a lot of people.
Thank you. Well, I came from Iran at age 14. Back then, when there was the war between Iran and Iraq, at age 14, you would have to draft into the government army.
Oh,
and
14?
My dad, yes, at 14. And it's sad because they push a lot of the youngsters on mines because tanks are more valuable than human beings back then.
Yeah.
So my dad having 7 brothers, and 3 of them passed from injuries in the war, and 2 of them handicapped. And 2 weeks before my 14th birthday, my dad freaked out and decided to wrap everything up. And with a little over $2,000, we left. We went to Turkey, and we were there for 3 weeks. He was able to get a visa. And then we came to Costa Mesa, California, out of all places.
Wow,
Yes.
you landed in Costa Mesa.
But I didn't really, things were happening so fast, I didn't really realize the extent of compromise everyone was making, because I did have 3 other siblings. So my sister was 6 months old.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and my brother was 2 years younger than me, so he was 12. And then I have an older sister. She was 15. Now, the reason my dad made a move, he had previously come to America in Costa Mesa and had a friend that his brother owned a bunch of gas stations, like 17 of them or something. The guy was very wealthy, lived in Newport Beach, Mercedes, all kinds of
He had it going on. You were like, this is what I want right here, huh?
And he had told my dad, if you ever want to make the move to come here, I'll give you a job at one of my stations, pumping full service gas.
Yep.
It's still a job, right?
Yeah.
It's still something to lean on. So as soon as we landed in LAX, we took a yellow cab, went to this gentleman's house in Newport Beach. First night was all right. Second night, the wife and husband are screaming in the kitchen.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess he hadn't really told her 6 people are moving in.
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on?
Something about it.
Yeah. So second night, the guy walks into the bedroom. We're all in one bedroom. Goes, sorry, I'm gonna have to ask you guys to leave.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
The whole family.
So he dropped us off. He dropped us off at a motel on Harbor Boulevard in Costa Mesa. After a few nights, my dad's like, at this point we're gonna run out of money. So he called the guy back, yelling on the phone with him. He says, you know what? Come over to one of my gas stations and I'll sell you one of my cars, because he used to sell used cars too.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a 1972 Datsun 510 wagon, one of those big ones.
Yeah.
So that was
enough to fit everybody.
not enough, but you do what you got to do. Wow. And on top of it, he didn't get the job either because he got so angry at the guy. The guy says, hell with you, I'm not going to even give you the job. So now he didn't have a job. So we used to park at the Stater Brothers right on Newport Boulevard, a grocery store, park there, and we had to move it every so often because security would come in.
Can I nudge you out of there? What are you guys doing?
But we ate a lot of bananas. It was the cheapest source of food. And my dad used to get the newspaper every day looking for a job. Finally, he landed a job at a small company in Costa Mesa, again, on Placentia, as an accountant. That was his background. And after a couple of weeks, he got his paycheck, and we moved to a one-bedroom apartment in Adams apartment on Adams and Fairview.
Yeah.
Right now, they redeveloped it, but used to.
Have you bought that area yet?
No, somebody scooped it up.
Building.
So I'm 14.
Yeah.
I go ahead, sign up at Costa Mesa High School. I had 3 hours of ESL because I didn't speak a word.
You had no English
Nothing.
when you came here.
As a matter of fact, yeah. As a matter of fact, when we were at the motel, I remember one morning I walk out to the pool and this little kid was giving me the bird, the finger, and I didn't know what it is. I was patting him. Oh, yeah. So and then another guy was that guy just flipped you up. No good, no good. I'm like,
language isn't anything until you assign a meaning, right?
Exactly. So my dad gets a job, and I'm going to Costa Mesa High School, taking a lot of ESL classes, trying to, learn English.
Yeah.
And every time I take the trash out, I see people leaving stuff by the dumpster that they don't want. Chair, toaster, sometimes TV if I'm lucky. So I used to grab those and haul it back to my patio, apartment patio. And across the street was Orange Coast College, which they had swap meets on the weekends. So I started going to swap meet with my mom to buy, kitchenware, and I realized, hey, I already had a bunch of stuff I've been saving. So why don't I haul it over there? That was my first business.
That was your first business, selling the stuff by the dumpster.
For 2 years.
Very clever.
Yeah, so I used to get up 4 in the morning before the dumpster truck comes. So I had to hurry up and get everything from dumpster.
Find all this stuff.
And then after I hit all the dumpsters in my apartment complex, we go to
the next apartment complex.
Anyhow, so I was
one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Right.
That's right.
Do you? I mean, just to kind of on that first, do you think that was a mindset you were born with, or did it come out of necessity? Like you're in
out of necessity.
We gotta figure this out.
Your best, I guess, breakthroughs in life comes when you're desperate and you hit rock bottom, right?
Adversity. Yeah.
So, in my opinion, I think if my dad was wealthy and we came here at a nice house, I probably wouldn't be looking to take things back.
Our kids are screwed, basically.
Yeah. Wait, I tell you, Manny, because it's so true. Because adversity sharpens you, makes you stronger. A lot of times, a lot of people feel, you can look at something as either good or bad, right? And I get so many people that think, it could be good, could be bad. But so many people think of themselves as being victims, where they just don't take that and use it as fuel, and there's so many opportunities that we have to look back. We can't change it anyway, but we can use it as part of our story and make ourselves become much more stronger. Always say it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And but you had along the way, like before we'll get to you guys, I want to hear your background too, and a little bit.
Well, I'm just getting started. I had 17 other businesses before I got into real estate.
I'm saying you had you did the selling. You worked Kmart.
I got my first job at Kmart. I was 16. I got employee of the month 3 months in a row.
And then you were manager.
I became assistant manager of sporting goods. I got promoted. But every week back then they paid you cash in envelope, Kmart.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, even with changing it.
How much an hour? It was
every
like
week.
$3 or
$3.25 an hour, I want to say.
Wow.
If I recall correctly. It was in the threes.
Yeah.
So I used to save $100. It was like $112. I would take $12, put $100 under my mattress, literally under my mattress.
Save.
After 1 year, I had $5,200 saved. I went to auction, bought a 1983 Honda Accord, and my car was better than most managers and my dad.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You love cars from the beginning. You were
I was 17. And then I was still, I knew Kmart, the dumpster, Kmart, all these are stepping stones. So I was always looking out for a better opportunity. I still am today.
Yeah, yes, you are. You're
and
always.
That was, basically what imprinted in my mind that you can have to always climb, never stop climbing, just climb. And then from there, I opened my own business when I was 18, selling nuts door to door.
That was the Costco situation.
Yes.
And then you're like,
price
I need a health certificate, I guess. Huh? You kind of got a little setback there.
Your homework.
Yeah. Health inspector tagged me, says you got to cease operation until you get your health permit. I didn't know. I was 18
You're
years
like,
old.
hey, it's a deal. Bag it and resell it.
Well, it's a mindset, right? That's what you learn, how to then become always looking. It's funny because the show I did it started out basically in dumpsters, and it started selling tires and all the same things that you did. The other irony in
Only you did
our
it in 90 days.
well, yeah, but
that was crazy.
But learning from when I was a kid, exactly what you did. And another thing that's very similar in our lives, because when I started in Maryland, I drove out here without anything to California, and I found myself in Costa Mesa on Placentia and 19th Street.
Come on.
No
And
way.
that's where my
and he
first...
slipped on a floor.
Stepped on a floor for the first...
With how many
6
people?
months. There were 6 guys in a 1-bedroom.
Sounds like your family.
Yeah, it was Pomona
So
and
eerily
19th.
similar to my story.
And then we moved to Placentia and 19th. Very similar to where you were.
Well, even like Mindy and I, our background from game shows to TV shows, like we have so much similarities too.
Talk about you, Leyla. We'll bring you some together. No,
don't worry.
He's got a lot more, but we'll kind of tag team back and forth a little bit about. You were born in Toronto, Canada.
So I grew up in Toronto. I was born in Iran, actually.
Okay, you were? Okay, wasn't sure.
Yeah. I left after 4th grade, so I definitely still speak and understand.
Yes, you do a lot of your
stuff. And to some degree, read and write Farsi, which says a lot about our education system back there. Because just up to 4th grade, I mean, I can still do so many things. And I remember when we first moved to Toronto, like the math that we were learning in 5th grade, I had already learned it in like 3rd grade. So I was like, oh, I
got this.
So I grew up in Toronto. I moved there with my mom and younger sister. My sister and I are 10 years apart, and I was the only child for the first 10 years of my life.
Oh, wow. That must have been an adjustment when sister came along.
It was a big adjustment, but I wanted her. I asked my mom. I was like, I want a sister. And we're so close, just getting married next year. She sent me her bride's dresses right now. So I grew up in Toronto. My mom is a registered nurse. She's a nurse practitioner now. And her dream was always to provide a better life and future for us, for her girls. And her dream was also to move to Hollywood or California.
So you both had aspirations
that was
to get to
her ultimate
California.
goal, is to move to America for a better future and just opportunities. And so Toronto was like the first step in our journey, and eventually the goal was to move to California and for us to just flourish and follow our dreams. My dad is still back in Iran, so I haven't seen him since we left. But but it's been okay because I've been without him longer than I've
your
been.
life.
Right. And lived in Toronto for most of my teen and just early childhood. I was always an entrepreneur at heart. I remember I didn't speak a word of English, but when this teacher asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I told her I want to be an officer, not knowing what that means. What I
sounded really aspirational.
I wanted to have my own office.
Right.
I wanted to have my own company.
Chief officer, right?
Yeah. Chief executive officer.
Exactly. People made fun of me, of course, because they thought I wanted to be a policewoman or something. But I really wanted to just be a businesswoman. I just didn't have the right words. But I always wanted to be self-sufficient. For me, making money was always about freedom and nothing more. I wanted to have the freedom to do what I want, go where I want, and have whatever I wanted in my life. I remember the first time we came to California for a visit, we were driving on Sunset Boulevard, and we saw the Standard Hotel, and it was so beautiful back then. It was closed now, right?
Yeah,
they shut down.
Right. Oh.
The lights were gorgeous, and I was like, I want to stay there. And I remember my mom said we couldn't afford to stay there because it was too expensive. But I was like, but it's so beautiful. So we ended up staying somewhere else. I think it was like, I don't know what it was, like not Holiday Inn, but something like that.
Little downscale.
And I remember that moment like was etched in my brain that I'll always look back to it as a time that I said, you know what, I never want to be in a position where I can't have what I want.
I can't stay in the hotel I want to stay in.
Right. And I don't want it to always like come from my mother or somebody else. I want to go out there and try to get it for myself. And so after Toronto, we moved to California. In Toronto, I worked in telemarketing.
You did some after-school stuff, though, right? Was that in Toronto when you did some TV stuff?
So after, like, when I was 16, I was working as a telemarketer over the summer times.
Hustler.
Dang.
I saved like $13,000, and I was going to buy a BMW.
Wow.
I know.
And my mom...
She saved more than me.
What the heck?
She had a better car than you. Yeah.
She was company with me before I even met her. Yeah.
I was going to buy it, and my mom told me, like, literally 2 weeks before we were about to move to California that we're moving. So I'm like, Mom, you should have told me sooner. I almost bought this car.
Yes.
She was very superstitious. She was afraid, like, maybe it wasn't going to work out. Like, I don't want to tell you. So anyway, I didn't buy the car. We moved to California. I went to the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. I wanted to start my own clothing brand, which I did. I designed collections for Forever 21, private label stuff for Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. And then from there, you know, you're young. I was in my early 20s. You sort of fall into the entertainment industry.
Well, you do. If you have a...
Well, when you're kind of pretty.
And you're beautiful. And you got the it factor. And not everybody... I mean, I was told that when I got into television and they were looking at my tape, I met this woman, our producer at KTLA. But, you know, you look at a tape and you either are interested in the first 10, 15 seconds or not. You either have the it factor or not. Anyone can learn to be anything. You can study, but you can't really evolve into a personality if you don't have it.
Like charisma.
It's true.
Charisma, you have it. I mean, you can work on it and people can certainly improve, but it's hard and it's coming out of a real comfort zone space. But, you know, you have that it factor and I think people just attract success when you have it. And not part of being the it factor is looking for it and being and recognizing it when it falls in your look. Definitely. I mean, your lap.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely.
So, but then that's what got you into entertainment. At least I know you were on
Deal.
Deal or No Deal.
Well, Deal. Yeah, I was going to say a TV show as well, right? But the Deal or No Deal. Yeah. Suitcase number 13, right? Lucky number 13.
Number 13 on Deal or No Deal.
But is it true that number 13 was $1 million suitcase like 8 times or something?
I don't remember, but I always did have a lot of crazy numbers.
Oh my gosh!
You should have picked the case from the beginning.
Right, I would have always started.
I would have been lucky if you chose me from the beginning.
Yeah.
If I was on that show, I would have totally been like 13. Bring it.
Sure. So the show really, you know, made me into a household name. I created my first hair venture, which was a line of clip-in extensions and hair tools and products. I met my husband, Manny. We've been married 11 years right after the show ended in 2009. And then I launched my hair vitamin brand, which
I love the hair to men. It tastes good. The Chewies. I know your kids like it too.
Clean beauty wellness brand. Sold at Walmart. Oh my God, Ulta.
We talked at Walmart. Kmart.
Ulta.
Walmart's amazing, but it doesn't have hair to men.
I know. And
you turned down Walmart.
We actually did turn down Walmart. Thank God, because if we were in Walmart, Ulta would never have taken us. So it was a blessing.
Yeah.
And here we are, 2 little kids later, and
kids and life and love and success,
busyness, Instagram. Actually, my younger sister is the one that got us on Instagram.
Really?
We met on Facebook.
Yeah, let's talk about. Well, let's go back a little bit because I want to know where you were in your life when you guys met. Because you did.
I just finished Deal or No Deal.
Okay.
And I was living in LA. I was going out on auditions for different things because the show just ended. And
I just came out of a really bad marriage. I was single. I was living my life like Tony Stark.
There you go.
At Playboy Mansion.
We got a lot in common again.
Wait, were you married before then?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't know.
Married once.
I know. First one wasn't lucky. Second one was lucky
13. Oh my gosh. So then, where were you right before you met? You had, obviously you'd gone through the few failures and successes, and then you also when did the gas station thing
Oh,
That
so
was
that was
another
right after
failure.
I closed my nut business.
But the nut.
I had $20,000 saved. My dad's friend was over one night for dinner. He's like, you know, I sell gas stations. You know, with the amount of money you have, you can get SBA loan, 90% financing. I do it for my customers all the time. You guys should look into it. I'm like, really? It's ironic that my dad was supposed to get his first ride at gas station now.
Now you can like be a
I'm 19 years old. I can own the gas station that my dad was supposed to. So I got super excited. I got motivated. So he found us one off of Crenshaw on 405. It was a mobile gas station right across from Denny's. We opened escrow and sent me to this guy in LA to do my loan. And it turned out that loan never came through and I lost all my money. So after 90 days.
Like that's a big setback.
That was a big setback.
Deposit?
That was my deposit plus all the money I paid. I paid $3,500 to mobile. I had to go to Rancho Cucamonga for 2 weeks to learn how to measure the tanks, run the snack shop. So I actually have my plaque. I'm a mobile dealer. I probably expired by now, but
but you were like, I was a dealer.
Yeah, so a lot of the money went for that. I went to Allen Institute for a smog license because he had a 3-bay mechanic shop, so I had to learn how to do a smog.
So you were learning
All
some time.
that-
I went through all that.
But see, I think that, again, a lot of people look at that as a failure.
Yeah.
I think you used the word setback just now, right? But because what happens is hopefully the reason you guys have become this very successful couple is that you learn, right? I mean, what did you learn from those failures? What did you learn?
Yeah, what are some of your things
I learned, I'm like, what am I thinking so small? One gas station?
Think bigger.
So I called one of my good customers, Ruben Padilla, over at Montebello Winston Tire. Back then, I used to sell a lot of nuts to these tire shops, right? And then I called and said, Ruben, I lost all my money. I got scammed, blah, blah, blah. I need a job. He goes, come on down. So he made me an assistant manager. I used to drive all the way from Garden Grove all the way to Montebello.
Oh, my.
Not fun. But I did that for a year. But every time somebody came in with a Porsche, Ferrari, expensive car,
Yeah.
I asked him, I said, hey, I was a sponge. I'm trying, what do you do for a living?
Exactly.
The guy says, 9 out of 10, either they own a mortgage company or they're real estate.
So that's why you went into real estate.
Yeah, very few was an attorney or a doctor, right? 90%.
Do you just know your stories like that? Because Glenn came to California, was working, just trying to figure out what was going. After sleeping on the floor, he goes down into Corona del Mar, and he says he sees this beautiful house like overlooking Corona del Mar Beach, and he's sitting on this bench, and he sees this guy in his yard, and he goes up to him. He's like, "What do you do for a living?"
No.
The guy's like, "Senor, I'm
you're
just
a
a gardener."
sponge too.
He was the gardener, and the guy's like, "I think the guy's
Yeah,
in
he
real
happened to be the
estate."
gardener. I don't know if you heard that part. Yeah,
He's
it's
like, I'm the gardener. And he's like, I want a gardener. What do you do? What does he do? So
I think he's in real estate. Yeah, exactly.
So that same motivation, you both said that's a course, that's a place to go. Like you looked for opportunities.
And I think that got you to end up writing a book, right, called Driven.
Yes.
Right.
Driven was my second one. No, first one I wrote was the Contrarian Playbook.
Contrarian Playbook,
How to build your $100 million real estate. When I had $100 million worth of real estate, I wrote that book. That was 2011, 11 years ago. And then Driven I wrote because my headquarter office is next to Entrepreneur Magazine headquarter.
Oh.
So the CEO, Ryan, and I became good friends. I goes, hey, I want to write your book. You're very inspiring. I'm like, okay. So they actually, did the ghostwriting and all that. But yeah, I don't know if you can put all that in there.
I remember.
Well, all of it is great.
I remember one of our first dates. He and I, we were talking about like setbacks and all of the things we've been through. And I remember he had this book that had listed all of the mistakes he's ever made.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like he
I still
literally
have
wrote,
it, yeah.
like, don't go buying a car at night. Like it was that grand.
That
Oh,
is
I have
really,
so many
is that all
stories.
in a book? Is that in your playbook?
Yeah. No. It's handwritten in a little
And
notepad.
he brought it, and like
Yeah.
one of our dates was just looking through stuff like that. It was so
There's some funniest stories in there.
funny.
You need to have a book. Your Manny-Khoshbin's What Not to Do.
No, what not to do.
To be successful. And then you have your list in there.
Yeah.
You could
I
go
want to know what is interesting, because you guys, between you, how many followers do you have? You have
I have 2.7 on Instagram. She has 1.7.
So you guys over 4 million.
4
Like that's
million
pretty good.
followers.
That's pretty incredible.
And while you've got obviously probably 4 million people that really love you, there's always haters that come with success, right?
But you know how I got to this many followers? I've been turning those haters to followers.
Yeah, that's
There you
what you
go.
do.
Yeah.
Turn them
There
into
you
your
go.
friends. My God, you know that's so funny. You know, you guys, you continue to reveal similarities that you have. It's just a mindset. It's like you guys just have this similar mindset. He would get into the most like weird confrontations with people, haters, and then by the end of the conversation, if you know what
they're like
best friends, they're best friends, and they're like, got their arms and they're drinking and
a couple times, some people have reached out and said some pretty horrible things, right? And you know, I would think about it and say, wow, you know, I could see his point, like why he would think this way or whatever. And I'd reach out and say, hey, I'd like to take you to lunch. And I had a couple times where people have, she knows these stories, I literally cried. I'm very sorry. I'm embarrassed that I said those things. I can't believe you would.
Haters aren't as hateful when you're in their face.
And it's all about them sometimes.
Hurt people, right? There's a reason why people behave in a certain way. It's because if there's something they're seeing in you that they think they don't like, it's missing in them.
Well, also it's what they're going through life. You know, you never know what people are going, you know, what's going on.
But that leads me to what I was trying to say earlier, which is, you know, back to all these people that look, and some people go, oh, look at these guys showing off. Look at all the stuff they show off, right? What people don't know, and you've touched on it very lightly, is all that you had to do to get there, right? It's like people don't, they think you just get given $1 billion.
Everything we have,
and so you should be proud.
Yeah, no one gave it to you. No one handed you.
It was not handed to us. It's our, you know, for us, it's everything we've ever worked for. It's our purpose. It's our goal. And we're proud of it, and we want to share it to inspire people. Whether you think it's showing off, that's your problem.
Right, exactly. And that's my point. Where most people in your group, because I'll look through, they admire it because they understand your story.
There's more positive than negative. I've noticed people are literally more. They want to be inspired.
Those little negative ones, of course,
they hurt.
They get to you.
And I'm not really just talking about their negative. I'm saying in general. People look and either they don't like success because they're not there, right? Or, but when you understand someone's story, then you begin to realize, well, they deserve it. You know what I mean? You deserve. You've been your book this thick of what to do differently, right? Means you know, you could look at that as failure, or I learned a lesson, you know, and
I think it's important by sharing that, you know. We also do a lot of giving back, whether it's our time, our knowledge, our information. I mean, Manny does such a great job of that.
The mentorship workshops, too.
Thank you.
Really.
So, you know, it's about getting to a point where you feel accomplished. But I mean, I don't think we ever feel accomplished as entrepreneurs. We always want to reach for more. But giving back is such a huge component of that. It just feels so much better, they say, when you give somebody something than receiving a gift.
Yeah, it is. So on that note, like we talked earlier about getting it versus keeping it. And you see this a lot with lottery winners or people who are just coming to a large sum. It's gone within an amount of time. There is a mindset, I think, in going through earning it.
Of course.
That makes you appreciate it. And how do you keep it? Like, what are your things? Are you guys finicky with what you, I mean, you have lavish things, but how are you every day? Is there things you just go, we're not wasting our money on little stuff, or you stock it away?
What's the mindset?
Yeah, what's your mindset for money?
I'm very analytic myself because, you know, I love numbers. I run Excel spreadsheet. As a matter of fact, when I was 18 years old, I wrote an Excel spreadsheet with all my goals, like how every year, how much I'm going to save, how much I'm going to invest, and how much I'm going to return and flip. And all the way to age 66. I was supposed to be worth $40 million at age 66. So it's called the aftermath. And then I have another one that's the actual aftermath, which I've been editing and keeping up and comparing it.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm very analytic. So I have budgets, obviously, for all my properties. You got to keep, you know, cash flow budget, TILC budget, CapEx budget, all that stuff. Glenn knows what I'm talking about. But on the personal expense side, you know, I have a passion for cars. She loves.
I think it's more than a passion. It's more of an
obsession.
I have one car. I have 9 of them. So I think that's a little bit of a problem.
So for the audience, just to get a little behind the scenes and perspective, we happen to also live in the same neighborhood. So every now and then, I'll see Manny's young son driving the car. He's on his lap, driving like a $2 million car.
We did that with our kids. We did that with our kids too. Put them on the lap. It's safe.
Yeah. Our kids sit in our lap too. We drive, but I always see him driving around the neighborhood in a very expensive car. Right?
Race car in training.
I love it though. You're showing him how to do that. So you guys met. You became. I used to say, like, we had a mindset when we met. Like, look, I deserve someone like this. It's not like I don't deserve you. Because I think if someone tells you they don't deserve you, they don't. They don't have enough confidence to believe that they have an equal value to provide. And we have always said, I deserve you. I had a good life. I worked hard. I got here. I put good energy out as best as I can. I attracted him, and he attracted me. And I said we both were kind of stars in our all right, like you both were. And then you kind of create this supernova when you come together. And that, I think, is the definition of a power couple.
It's true.
You are in your own confidence, success, and space.
And yet you're in sync together.
Yeah.
And we fill each other's voids, and like what he likes, I bring. What I like, he brings. And so that's how you complete each other.
I mean, it's gotten to a point that I read her mind. She doesn't even talk.
Are there little things about, what are the things you argue about? Because I'm always curious. Because is there little things you know, like, I mean, not big blown out, but just little things
Yeah, I
that
don't know.
you guys pretty good at?
Just like,
we haven't had any meltdowns for anything.
No,
that's great.
I mean, it's mostly about the kids. Honestly, it's just like, did you get her? She wants this. Can you go? He woke up at 5. Can you go get him? I'm too tired.
Yeah, this morning.
How dare you? I slept at 12. You go.
That's it. 4 in the morning, she texts me, can you go? And
literally, can you go?
And then I always say, well, can you? And it's always a no. I'm like, okay, I'll go.
And then if he's still screaming, then I call him. I'm like, how dare you?
I think that's the extent of...
Yeah. That's a battle sometimes.
So, you know, taking the next step after the hard work, what's success look like to you now? Because I think a lot of people think, once I reach this certain mountain, man, I'm going to stop and celebrate. And does that happen in your world, or is there another mountain?
I think it's peace of mind, honestly.
No, I think success is being able to balance it all once you've achieved it. It's so difficult to balance out because everybody's coming at you.
Yep.
I got this proposal, this business, this property. You got to fly, look at it. And now you got to decide, okay, do you want to spend the kids in the pool this weekend or go look at this business opportunity? It's always a tug of war.
Sometimes you got to say no. It's saying no.
I do. I say no a lot.
That's his biggest issue is, you know, so many people, because he is so public and so, you know, giving with his information and time and skills, people tend to think that he's just ready and available for everybody. I think the worst kind of approach is when somebody says, can I come pick your brain? Like, that's such a like.
And I literally picture they like those monkeys, and they took off my head, and they're gonna pick my brain with a spoon.
There's a time and a place for
They
that.
could if they could. If
you're gonna do that, you need to bring some kind of a value to that person, because that's a very busy person, and they're not gonna just spend an hour, 2 hours of their time just so you can, here you go, take what you want, you know, type of situation. And unfortunately, a lot of people take advantage of nice guys like our hubbies.
But hey, it comes with the territory, you know.
And I would agree with Manny.
But it drains you guys.
It does, and it's hard, but you also remember that break somebody gave you, you know, so it's kind of a, to your point, and what I think other people will go, why do you do that? And you're like, I got to give back. They, you know, and it is hard because you do want to be with your kids more. You do want to do things that then you go, but, you know, they really are just asking for a break. You know, it's hard to balance. That's back to that point.
He's always really invested in people, not ideas. I mean, those are kind of the thing. You can really read. You probably read the book Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. I don't know if you read it, but it's you know, it really is about, in an instant, you can make an assessment and be like, this is the kind of person I want to be in business with or be associated with. You know. I think you sharpen that instinct when you've been through what you've been through. And you can tell, is this the kind of person I want in my sphere or not? And then, you know, he always says, don't ask me for money. Look, I'll help guide you. We'll mentor.
I know.
But don't ask for money.
I challenge with that every day.
Everybody wants money. Everybody wants and needs money. But guess how you got it? You worked hard. Who was your mentor? Did you have a mentor? Did you guys have mentors?
I really didn't have mentor. I mean, my landlord, because one of the businesses I failed in was a supermarket. I got into the supermarket after I opened my mortgage company. Greenspan raised the rates. You remember in 1994, 75 basis point. So all my refis went to debt because I used to keep them to lock and pre-lock. 12-day, get more rebate. You guys know this. So everything, I shut that down, and I had like a couple $100,000 saved. I had a partner. I said, hey, why don't we do a 79 cents plus instead of 99 cents only? You know, have some teaser, you know, product, VO5 shampoo, whatever, for 79 cents. And then it's plus, right? Everything is so it worked great. It was 10,000 square feet, but then Food for Less opened right next to me, and that crushed us. Long story short, where was I going with this?
A mentor, like a mentor.
Oh, yeah. So my landlord, one time my landlord came over and goes, look, you're you know, I know you're trying to make your rent, but once in a while you bounce, right? You work so hard 7 days a week. Why don't you sell this? Because I was trying to sell it. He goes, when you sell this, come and see me. You know, I want to like guide you commercial real estate investing, and that's what happened. So December 98, I sold that at $185,000. I owed $200,000 on my credit cards. I didn't pay my credit cards, and I called them and
he told you what to do.
I bought a shopping center in Whittier, and that was a great deal. I flipped it.
And you were able to pay your credit cards.
I doubled my money, and then
Well, tell me, what's one of the best pieces of advice you guys have ever gotten?
From someone, somebody or someone you admire? Or...
I think for me, I mean, I never had a mentor per se, but I read a lot of biographies on famous people, successful people, not celebrities, but people that made an impact in business. And for me, that was always very inspiring. I did that throughout my early 20s. I remember, I think for me, the best advice, I mean, there's so many, but one of them would be quitting while you're ahead is not the same thing as quitting. So you have to know,
That's good.
When to kind of leave the room, whether it's leave a relationship, a friendship, a job,
Business,
an opportunity, a business. You know, doesn't mean you're quitting. It means you're leaving at the right time.
Right.
That's kind of like, I think a lot of people get super successful and then they just kind of, sometimes there's a downturn, or sometimes, you know, there's a difference between never giving up and you're right, and quitting while you're ahead. I think that's...
For me, buy good real estate. God's not making any more of it.
No, there's no more real estate.
I think Mark Twain said that.
Funny about that, because one time, 9/11, when all that happened, I flew to New York and I wanted to lift rocks. I wanted to help. I was by myself. I was single. And I didn't realize they would barricade it with the National Guard. I thought I could go and help, you know. And so I was there, and when I left a couple of days later, I got on a train that went back to Maryland, and it was, you know, I was sitting there, and this old man and lady came, and I'm like, don't sit. You know, I was in one of those seats where the person would sit right there looking at you. I'm like, don't sit here, don't sit here. And the guy sits right there, puts his wife right behind. I gotta talk to this man.
Thank God you didn't weren't a gentleman and got up and let his wife sit.
I know, huh? Who would have done that? Anyway, make the story short.
Gets good.
I'm sitting there and I see he has this ring on, and I said, "Looks." I thought it said basketball. I said, "Looks like you like basketball." And he says, "I guess you could say so." He says, "I own the team."
Owner. I was gonna say the owner.
And it was Abe Poland who owned the Washington Bullets or Wizards at the time, and the Washington Capitals, the hockey team in D.C. And here I was begging this man in my head not to sit, and now for 2.5 hours I have him captive right there to talk about your successes and failures and everything.
That's taking an opportunity you did all the time.
Priceless
I would have paid
opportunity.
millions. And to sit there and ask him those questions, you know, but he was a developer. That's how he got all his money. And he had said that about real estate. Buy, and when you have the best, keep it, son. He says, keep it, it'll grow. He says, you know the Irene? I said, yes, sir, I do. He goes, that's the best apartment buildings in all of Washington, D.C. He goes, I made those in 1964, and I still have them today.
Yep.
And he says, do you know why I named it the Irene, son? I said, no, sir. He goes, hey, Irene, why don't you meet this young kid? It was his wife's name, right?
Love it.
Became friends.
He kept her too, so
yeah, exactly.
So we're, I know we're going to be wrapping up here, and obviously the show is called Grit Happens, and just in your mind, if you could define, what does grit mean to you? What is grit, and how does that play out in your life?
Grit to me is keep pivoting, and every setback is just an opportunity for a greater comeback. And you know, if you pour water on top of the mountain, it'll find its way down, but you got to climb that mountain first. Pour the water. You got to put in the work.
How about you, Leyla?
Grit is confidence and believing in yourself and never giving up. And it's, you know, it's cliche, but it's true.
It is. Well, it works. It's worked. That's why.
If you feel confident in yourself, other people will be gravitated towards you. People love people that are passionate and have confidence and a mission, whatever that is.
Energy is contagious.
Believe in yourself.
It is. And never apologize for yourself. I don't think you should ever apologize for working hard and having success, because you earned it.
Yeah.
You earned it. You worked your butt off, and you never gave up.
What is, now that, I mean, you guys are, you're influencers, right? I mean, besides being successful in real estate and hair and everything.
Vitamins and...
Yeah. What's the, like, what's your message to these people, right? Like, what is it that you're putting out there? What do you feel now that you've got the eyeballs of so many that
no matter where you come from, I think, our story is an immigrant story, and there's so many people that can relate to that. But because of the adversity that we face, I mean, I remember sleeping through the war. Like, there was bombs going on over our head, and we were going to our neighbor's house who had a bomb shelter because our house didn't have it. And we would go downstairs in their house and just kind of like stay there for a few hours while it was going on. I think for me, that really instilled resilience, and I think every day my message is just to allow others to believe in yourself, to not give up, and know that anything is possible. I mean, we live in the greatest country in the world.
We really do.
Really don't appreciate it, and I get really
Until
upset.
you travel, do you understand?
Yep.
Until you grew up in other countries, even Europe. Okay, as much as we love going to Europe
it's
in the
beautiful,
summer,
but you're right. The work
but try
ethic is
living
different.
there, and you will kiss the ground America is on.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I share my journey and success because I do often say, hey, where I came from. And I guess my message is I start with what's in front of you. For me, it was that dumpster, what people left. And then with the mentality of this is temporary, stepping stone, pivot.
This too shall pass.
Yes, and never stop climbing.
I love that. You have to climb to the mountain. The top
but
of the
take
mountain,
action, whatever's in front of you.
There's so many people that come to me, I'm sure to you guys as well, and ask like the secret of success, and and you're like, there's really not a lot of secrets, it's hard work and whatnot, but it's also an appreciation that a lot of people don't have, not because they don't appreciate me, because maybe they haven't had as much adversity, right? So when you get the adversity, back to originally what I was saying, then you get to understand, wow, we are lucky, right? Like, we know from travel, from living with bombs falling next to you, that this is a pretty good place, right? And there's a lot of the people I know out there that say, I want to start my own business, or I want to do something, that when they first run into the first brick wall, it's over, right? And you're like, no, that's just the beginning, man. Like, that's easy. You got to keep.
There's 40 more.
Yeah,
Shawshank Redemption. You just start digging through that wall, you'll eventually get there.
and when you know that, then it is a lot easier, because it's easier to understand that it's going to be hard, if that makes any kind of weird sense.
And that success is long lasting, because going back to the lottery winners, when it matters how fast that success came. If you're an overnight success, like some of these influencers, TikTokers that are overnight success, I mean, that's fleeting. Yeah. And you don't know what to do.
Next thing you know, Iris is coming after.
Right, exactly.
So I know you guys have a busy schedule ahead, and so what's next? What's the next on the Leyla Manny train? Where's your next
More
stop?
traveling.
More travel. Yeah,
yes.
You do document it really beautifully.
We love to just, for us, just seeing the world. There's so much to be seen. We love experiencing other cultures and just seeing the world and exposing our kids to that. Right now, they're not the best travelers, so they don't come
They're at a young age,
We are really considering your story
going around for a world.
You
should. What great documentation.
You inspired us. I'm gonna go buy
take a teacher with us and just go learn.
Your ex-wife, does she teach?
No. And I listened to that episode, by the way. You have a lot more grace than I ever would.
I got a good ex-wife. She's a good ex-wife.
You guys are so cute.
So we'll continue to follow you. People can find you on Leyla Milani on Instagram.
At Leyla Milani, at Hair to Men is my hair vitamin
Hair
brand.
to Men, it's cute little play on vitamin.
And I'm easy. At Manny-Khoshbin.
Khoshbin, right?
H-O.
Yeah, don't forget the H. Yeah. Don't forget the H. Well, we've just really, is there any final thoughts you'd like before we?
No, I can. We appreciate you both. We consider you friends, and very good friends. We
thank you.
And then we admire what you've been through. And I hope there are people out there that understand and get what we are all about, which is really trying to provide opportunity to other people to be able to have the same wonderful successes and be able to have a lot of what they wish and pray for, and understand. All you gotta do is understand it's hard work. It's not always easy. And you guys are a great testament to struggle and climbing mountains and overcoming and everything. So thanks for being here.
We really look up to you guys, and I think like to us, you guys you have an amazing marriage. Your kids are so amazing. I mean, we came to your dinner the other night.
That was
just
fun. That was a fun dinner.
That was a fun dinner.
Amazing
Thank you.
Children are, and that's a true testament to who you two are as parents and as human beings. And we really look up to that.
Thank you.
We talked about we have so many similarities. Maybe another time we'll do another.
Maybe we'll do another show about parenting because it's really hard to find grit for our kids. Like the biggest grit is losing their phone for an hour. It's like,
oh my God.
So all right, well you can always follow us. Grit Happens on Instagram, on YouTube. Catch new episodes wherever you catch your podcast. We thank you, Leyla, Manny, for coming into the studio today.
Thank you.
Fun.
And this has been another episode of, say it with me, Grit Happens.
I love that.